Hello, hello. I forgot to turn the microphone on there for a second. We're back today with the sculpture I was working on last week. I went ahead and I had to make a bit of a rough base for him just so that he wouldn't fall over. So it did kind of mess up the feet a little bit, unfortunately, but not too terribly. Um, but yeah, so I had to make a bit of a rough base. It's going to make this a little awkward for the camera. I will do my best. And this is the little coal that I started for the center of the wheel. I also have with me resin, UV resin. So I'm going to try to create some fire effects once we finish the main painting. Now with the colorings of this particular sculpture, there isn't as much depiction or there isn't as much description of the colors as there is of the shape and body type of the being. So I'm going to have to take a little more artistic license here. However, the biggest thing that is repeated again and again is that they are like burning flames or torches, or there's gold. Basically, the colors mentioned are typically brass, gold, fire, bright, and the wheel is mentioned as sparkling like a gemstone. Now, exactly what that gemstone is, if you look at translations, you'll see that the wheels are mentioned as sparkling like topaz or beryl, were the two translations I saw a lot. The thing is, they don't actually know specifically what that Hebrew word referred to, what specific gemstone. From the indications, I believe it's supposed to be a yellowish or goldish color, but we're not entirely sure of the specific gemstone. And gemstones come in different colors. You can have topazes and beryls of multiple different colors. I did see maybe a bit of a sea green, so I might add a little bit of that to it. But it seemed yellow or a light yellowish green is the most likely color that they intended. But it's one of those things with translation of languages is that, especially older texts, we don't always know exactly what they meant when they said that particular gemstone's name. I forget the word in Hebrew. I looked it up when I was trying to figure out what color I was supposed to paint it. But yeah, it wasn't perfectly clear. Now we do have mentions their bodies like, glowing metal was like the center of the cloud that they came out. So they're very bright, very reflective. And their feet or legs were mentioned gleamed like burnished bronze. So we're going to go for a very bright orange, white, silver, metallic-y type of appearance. I think that's probably the best I can do. I'm thinking with the heads, I may do a light like tone that looks somewhat realistic to a lion, ox, and eagle and all that, and then I'll go over it with the metallic color. But we'll see as we go along how we're going to do this. I've done the base coat as always. I know the base is a little rough. I intend to, I just made it yesterday, so it's even a little bendy still. I intend to sand down the edges a little bit, make it look a little neater than it currently does. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the thing we do know, which is bronze for the hooves. And I'm going to look up bronze just so I have the color correct. Because I feel like bronze is in between a copper and a gold. Yeah, it's kind of a mix of a copper and a goldy color. So I got most of my metallic-y paints out expressly for this. Okay. So I think we are going to start down here. Now I will have to clean up the base a little bit. It got some paint on it already from doing the base coat. But that's okay, it's easy enough to clean up. So we're going to do a copper first, and then I think we'll go over it with the we'll go over it again with the gold color. I also think we might do some white highlights, just to dry brush highlights on this before we paint it. Because when you do light layers of paint like I tend to and gradually build them up, you can still see some of the shading from the underneath layers. So I think we might start with some white here after I do the initial coppery color here. And this is way too copper, so we will be turning it into a bronze. Some of the bronzes almost look a little bit like silver tinged gold or copper tinged gold. It varies. So yeah, I think we're going to grab a brush here and we're going to dry brush a bunch of light shading onto this. Just to start out. That's too thick. But just like this, so it'll highlight all of the details, and then we're going to slowly go over this with the gold and the bronze colors that we're doing. So no specific colors are given for the heads. It just says generally that they glowed, or they're usually either metallic, glowing, or fiery. So that's what we're going to try to accomplish. I may do the wings a little more white silvery, tinged into like fiery orange at the end. Kind of like Flame said, almost are like whitish in tone and then get redder at the tip. So I'm going to see if I can maybe accomplish that kind of appearance for the wings. I think that would look cool. I'm basically going to be doing gradient type metallic tones, because I think that's probably the most accurate I can get from what I'm reading. And we did read through the passage last time pretty thoroughly, so I won't read through that again, but there will be a short synopsis of that when I do the edited version of this. The only thing I wish I'd done better is I know I chose not to design the arms under these wings. Because of the way I curved it, it looks like there aren't arms, and a little iffy on the description, but I feel like there probably should have been. So, I mean, I can do the plausible, like, oh, it's, you know, hidden under the wings so you can't see the hands and the arms under the second pair. But I probably should have done it a little bit more clearly. So that's something I think I could have improved. But I think at that point I was getting really tired. I was getting very tired. Alright. And I'm thinking, I'm going to double check, maybe not next week, either next week or the week after that, I'm going to be doing some traditional vegetable carving, pumpkin carving. If I can, well, if I can find it, I'm going to be doing the turnips, if I can find the big ones, because I was reading about that and I thought that'd be a fun thing to do for Halloween, so we'll probably be doing that next time, or the week after. I have to look at how the dates fall. So potentially next week or the week after we'll be doing some fun Halloween themed stuff. But I am glad I got the opportunity to do this. I love doing religious type art. I love telling good stories too, which is why I do all the mythology stuff, but I also really enjoy doing stuff like this. And since it was something that I see a lot of artists attempting, and some do, I did find several that did really well, but quite a few I think just aren't familiar with the actual descriptions in the Bible. So the supposedly biblically accurate ones that you see a lot are just not that accurate. And I'm a bit of a stickler for that. So But there's a couple. I did see a couple paintings. There was one that I really liked. I think it was a digital painting that someone did. It was quite nice. I don't know who the artist was, else I would say who it was because I couldn't find it again. But it was really nice. Much better, I think, than what I'm doing. But they did follow the descriptions pretty closely and were actually quite accurate. And their guy looked pretty cool. So that made me happy. I love seeing other depictions and how other artists have attempted to portray something, especially something as obscure as this, because this is definitely a challenge. I'm still, oops, I didn't mean to hit the microphone. I'm still a little uncertain how we are going to do all the eyes. I know I'm thinking to do them like white with fiery orange type irises. I don't know if I want to have pupils or if I want the pupils to be an abnormal metallic color or a fiery color potentially. I am still debating with myself on that, but we'll get there. Slowly but surely. Alright, so I think we're going to go ahead and do a copper tone on the wheel as well. Just to start. And because, again, we're going to go over this again with the gold color. But let me tilt it this way you can see what I'm working on. We are going to go over it again with the gold color to get more of a brass color rather than copper. Since that is the... Well, not brass, I'm sorry, bronze. Bronze and brass are not the same thing, I don't think. No, they're not the same thing. I'm not real up on metals. I have to admit that. I'm not. But anyway, bronze color is a bit more gold in tone. So we're going to do the copper dry brushing here all over. And then we'll go back over it again with, and you can see the texture that I did and how that's highlighting it, and that's why I did the beaten metal kind of look. I know I was just basically hitting the clay with my little rounded tool, but I like, when I'm doing something metallic, I like having that look to it. The only awkward part about the base is it does make it harder to paint, but I wanted to be able to do the fire effect and put everything together on camera. So we shall have to deal with that inconvenience. It's a little awkward, but I'll manage. I'll manage. Okay. Let's see. I think I also may want some silver. No, I think I like the skin tone being more of the copper. The hooves being like a brighter brass color. And then, I might add silvery highlights on the wings, and I might do it that way, I think. But yeah, one of the most common things you'll see in biblical stuff is that things associated with God's glory tend to be described as very fiery. Gold, fiery, bronze, bright, molten metal, all those types of descriptions tend to pop up pretty typically. So it makes sense. It makes sense for this that's the main descriptor. I just wish there was more detailed descriptors on the color. But it's probably just a lot of glowy, metallic, shiny colors. They're all pretty similar, so that's probably why there isn't. Plus, generally, most angelic or supernatural beings don't have that much physical description. So, you know, people theorize why that could be, partly because, you know, especially in that time frame, Israel had a tendency to make idols out of a lot of the stuff, so maybe it was to prevent them from doing too much of that. But then at the same time, you know, the cherub was featured so heavily in the temple that they obviously had multiple depictions of what a cherub would look like. So that argument doesn't necessarily hold water. But yeah, most of the times that angels, which we talked before about angel meaning messenger, and the cherubim are technically not angels. They are angelic beings in the sense of the way we use the word now, but they're not called angels in the Bible because they are bearers of the throne and not so much messengers as angel means. So I forgot what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I'm tired. But yeah, so the other actual literal angels aren't described. Sometimes they appear as fiery or glowing type figures. Fiery bright is a very common theme. A lot of times, you know, judging by several verses, they appear just like people. So they're clearly capable of having multiple forms. In disguising themselves potentially. And a lot of times when they say do not be afraid, I know a lot of people say they must be terrifying. That's possible. Judging by the way the cherubim look, I have no idea what the regular form of, you know, other types of angelic beings would look like, but they're all pretty crazy. That being said, most of the time, if they are described, it's like, oh, they could be disguised as people. So I don't know. And I think there's a mention of it in Judges with Gideon when he sees a messenger or angel of God that he freaks out. And the reason they tended to freak out was they kind of assumed that if you saw one, you were going to die. It'd be like seeing, you know, a person nowadays seeing the Grim Reaper or something. So some of the do not be afraid may just be like, hey, don't worry, I'm not here. You're not dying. It's okay. And some of it's because they're highly associated with the glory of God, which is supposed to be bright, glowing, and overwhelming. So I think it's a combination of those two things. So let me copper up the animal heads here. Now, when I did my depiction sketch, I think I gave him dark hair, but I'm thinking gold hair might make more sense. Just to go along with the fiery bright depiction. I think with the lion, I may do a little bit in reverse here. I think I am just going to do metallic, but I think I'm going to try to do the colors in them with metallic sheen. So, well, with the lion, I feel like the goldish color should definitely be on the face and then make the mane more of the copper. But yeah, we're just starting out with the base kind of tone here that we're doing. And then I'll switch to my gold here in a second. Alright. Now we're going to do some gold. Maybe. There we go. If I could get it open. Alright, so now we're gonna do the wheel. I'm not sure if I like this particular gold paint. I don't think it's gold enough for me. I think, let me check out, I have another one here. Let's try this one and see how this looks. I think this one might be better. Yeah, I think I like this one a little better. There we go. It probably would have looked cooler if I'd gotten a bunch of the eyes, the glass eyes to do for this, but I tend to buy the cheaper ones, and the cheaper ones come in assortments, so I wouldn't have enough of the same type of eye to actually finish the sculpture. I probably should have taken the time to order it. I didn't want to waste the money. Since I don't exactly get paid for this, so it's like I really shouldn't. I can't keep spending money on this. So let's make do with what we got. But I think in retrospect it probably would have looked a lot better if I'd used the eyes. Because glass eyes tend to just bring a lot to the sculptures that I do. They really do help. I do buy them like on cheap supply websites and stuff, and usually you can get a decent amount. It's just they're all assorted, so you always get some ones that are kind of crappy in the mix, and they're all varied, so if you're trying to get a bunch of the same, a little harder to do that. Okay. So I think we may just lightly go over sections of the body here to kind of start creating highlights. There. Camera can't quite pick it up as well, but I'm doing shading. So coppery type in, so that the copper shows up in the indentations and all the shaded parts are more goldy in tone. If goldy is a word, goldish is probably the correct word that I was looking for. We'll go with goldy. I'll stick with it. That doesn't make sense, but we'll go with it. I'm currently running on like 4 hours of sleep, which is the norm for me, to be fair. That's why I'm always tired when I do videos. The only time you don't have to listen to me complain about being tired is if you only watch the short form videos. Because it never gets better. I'm just always exhausted. The night shift life, it'd be like that. But I've always been like that, so. Insomnia kind of sucks. But yes, if I mumble a lot and sound awkward, I always sound more awkward in my head, and then I'll watch the videos again. I'm like, well, I didn't sound that crazy. So I think I make it worse than it actually is, but oh, I will try not to keep saying that I'm tired. We might do more of like a silvery tone for the hair. Or, I don't know, We could do it darker. I do kind of like my sketch, to be honest. I do have some dark, like gunmetal type silver colors. I could potentially use that for a couple of these details. I apologize, but this being as large as it is, it's a little unwieldy and it's a little hard to keep it in frame of the camera. So yeah, let's take a look at some of my other colors that I have. Grab something to drink real quick here. Ah, okay. Now where is my silver? Okay. That's not a good brush. Let's do the horns that silvery tone too, but very lightly so we still have that golden color underneath. All right. Oh. Where are my other... Yeah, I do have other metallic colors that I can do. So we may use some of them, but most of them I don't think would fit too well with this particular sculpture. Yeah, you can see the base is still bendy because it wasn't fully cured. Because every time I lift it, it starts to bend the edges up again. When I'm finished with this, I'll put it on a thing so that it unbends itself a bit. Alright, what was I gonna do? I forgot what I was doing. Oh, we need to do the beak on this one. I forgot to do the lighter gold tone on the beak. Because I did look up eagles. I know in America we tend to only think of bald eagles, but most eagles are like brown colors with brighter colored beaks. So... I did almost consider doing, I don't know if I talked about it last time. I almost considered doing a cast of the wheel and then casting it in like an actual clear yellow to kind of give that gemstone appearance. But unfortunately, kind of like with the eyes, that would have cost money and lots of time. And I'm trying to conserve my silicone. Because like I have other products from my store that I need to work on. Like the custom little keycaps that I've been doing. Those have not been sold or on this for sale yet because I was having some issue with a couple of the connection points. And I need to redo those, so I can't use my silicone because I need it for those models. Since I do actually sell those. Or will be selling them soon. I might do a video making those at some point, but they're not as entertaining as this, I think. So maybe not. We shall see. Alright. It's looking better there. Oh. Now let's see if we can take a little bit of this whitish color that I have and make the wings luminescent pearly kind of white. And then we'll fade it into a fire tone, I think, on the edges. If not, I may grab the silver. This stuff is very light toned. It takes multiple layers to get the color that you want. But it has a nice sheen to it. So I think I'll go over this and I might highlight with some silver there because I think this is a little too, paint's a little too thin to really have the impact that I want to have. Alright. I almost don't want to dry brush this stuff on because it's so thin that you can't even see the difference that much. Alright. Flip this around here. All right. So this is what we have thus far. We're getting there. Very, very slowly. All right. So this isn't white enough. So I'm going to go over it with the silver because the silver is a little thicker. And it will make a deeper color change than the white did. And then I think we'll start doing a red to orange to gold kind of tone. To the wingtips. All right. So let's do a little bit of a gold color on the wings. Just starting about... Well, I guess I could give them a little time to dry before I start that. Let's see, do I have... There we go. I have my darker metallic color here. See if I can do the lion's nose and the darker silver here. And the ox's nose. Just to add some differentiation in the colors. Okay. All right. Or if I can use a little bit of tiny, tiny, tiny bit of the pinkish color here, just for the inside of the ears. Just a little bit. There we go. We'll go over the coppery type highlighted sections. There we go. All right, now we're going to go back to doing the wings here. So we're going to start. Actually, let's see if we can do a little bit of this orange that I have. I'll move this back here so you can see what I'm doing. All right, we're going to do this on each of the wings. And try not to keep bending the base. Hopefully by the time I'm done with this, it's not cured so much I can't unbend it. It is resin, so it was supposed to sit a little longer. I didn't figure out how I was going to accomplish the base until later. It wasn't the best way to do the base, but I mean, it worked. And I just mixed some of my gold and black pigments together and did that. You can see we have some shading on the wings now. And I'm gonna stick him down here and oops, I'm getting my paint all covered in other paint. Alright. So this is one set of wings. So the fiery tipped color needs to come around this way, like so. Okay. Okay. All right. And we're going to grab our gold now. We're going to do gold edges on the wings. And then I probably will go over it with white again. Particularly the tops of the wings to bring out that texture again. There we go. All right. Now we're going to go over the upper part of the wings with a white again. Just a regular white, not a metallic, since the metallic white is not as cooperative as I should like. Oh, all right. Kind of see what we've gotten so far. Okay. Now, let me think. I mean, I guess I could start doing the eyes next. Let me see, where's my teeny tiny little brush? There we go. Sorry, so much of the eye painting is going to be happening out of frame. I just, it's very precise and I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Now, I am seeing a thing here. I might, for the wings, go back and do gold around the eyelids. Just to make it a little clearer. All right. Let me grab some water here. All right. So I'm gonna do the little bit of gold around the eyelids on the wings, just so that there's a little bit of color break there, and I can actually see where the eyes are. Well, then I see I missed the one in the center of the back. There we go. Oh, I guess I could go ahead and start doing the eyes on the wheel while I have my white here. All right. There we go. Got the whites of the eyes done. Oh, this up another little tiny paintbrush with my tiny paintbrushes. Oh. Now the question is eye color. I feel like the orange is probably the best, an orange or a red. Let's kind of experiment here and see how. I need a less used Let's grab an unused one, a new one here. See what the red looks like if I do. Yeah, I think I may stick with the red. And I think I want the eyes to be looking in different directions. Just to make them a bit more varied. Yeah. I was debating about like not doing the pupils dark, but I think I will just because it'll be more recognizable as an eye if the pupils are dark. Alright. Alright, I think I got all the ones on the front. Let's do the ones on the back. There we go. We now have the pupils everywhere. Or the irises, rather, not the pupils yet. Okay. Let's take a new brush here. Okay. Okay. All right. We got all the eyes looking different directions. All right, now we got to do the back here. I'm not going to lift it for some of these because that's getting somewhat difficult and making this a little more challenging. I will pick it up and show you when I'm finished. Well, I'm going to have to lift it for this one. But yeah, I can't always hold it to the camera. Okay. Oh. Let me get my darker color here and see if I can do some shading, perhaps. All I'm doing is I took the darker silver that I have and I'm just painting it wherever there's indentations, natural indentations to kind of highlight the shadows. The last main thing after we finish the shading on this is going to be the coal in the center. Achieving that fire look is going to be a little difficult, so that's going to take me a bit. Oh. Alright. One of the questions is like, should I do the highlighted shiny dot on each eye? I think I should. There you can see it on the bigger eyes, kind of how it looks. Gonna need to touch that up here. Alright. Alright. We did the knees. I think that's all the front eyes. Okay, now let us do the back. I'm just highlighting the eyelids with more gold on the other parts of the body that I didn't initially do that on. All right. Oh. Now let's see. I think I'm going to do some orange color on the legs and the chest. Think about the metallic paints is that they're very faint. They're very faint. Does make them blend in quite well though with the other colors. Just gonna do little orange highlights where we already highlighted with the gold. All right. This is what we have so far. Get our wheel. Okay. So now we have to paint this like a glowing coal, which is not going to be easy. And then do fake fire coming off of it, which will be, I don't know if it's going to be easy or hard. I was going to say one or the other, but that's kind of like the, creating realistic fire effects with paint is something I'm kind of bad at. I am hopeful that a fake fire will make up for my negligence in this. Because it's such a weird mix of whites and glowing colors and stuff. So the edges have to be reddish. But then there's like charred bits that are white and gray. It's kind of like when you try to draw fire. It often has multiple colors to it, like it's got blues in it sometimes at the very base if it's really hot. And then coals are usually varied colors. Like dark reds that fade into an orangey, then to a white in the brightest and hottest spots. But it's hard to accomplish that in a way that looks realistic on a rock. Because I can tell it's not glowing. So it looks strange. I'm going to add a little bit of the gold here because I think that'll help. And then I'll let this dry as I'll let it dry as I get ready the let me bend the base back into shape. Don't want to break it. There we go. All right. I have little silicone cups here. And I have dyes, resin dyes. Grab my gloves. Oops. I'm sorry. I know I keep hitting the microphone. I didn't have quite enough space for all the stuff that I needed for this particular project. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pour some UV resin in here. We're going to give it a couple drops of this and a little bit of yellow. Gonna mix it all in there. Maybe do a drop of red. Now I wonder. Nope, it's not curing nearly fast enough. Usually I can get it to start to spike upward. So I'm going to keep doing this. This is the process that's going to take a while. I've done it before and actually gotten a decent fire effect. The issue is the light that I had cured a lot faster and made this more feasible. Whereas this stuff, it's like I need to cure it slightly and try to spike it upward. If I can't get it to look right, then we will not do the coal in the center. But I'm going to try. I'm going to do my darndest to get this to look kind of like a fire. And we're getting some spikes here. You can kind of see, but it's not quite enough. Okay, let me pull this particular off. If you kind of partially cure it first and then put it down, you can create more of the effect. Yeah, I don't know if this is quite giving fire yet. It's kind of a little bit. The spikes are way too thin. I'm trying to add to them. But it's being real stubborn. We got some of it. I'm going to try and see if we can make more of an effect that looks more fire-like. So we're going to keep going. Yellow. Sort of darker orange is probably more the color I want. All right. Yeah, this is sorry. This is very time consuming. It requires a great deal of focus. Yeah, I wish my little light would cure it as fast as it used to. I changed the batteries out right before I did this, because I knew that this would be a potential problem, but it's still proving problematic. It's like it's working, but it just is not as easy to control as I would like. Alright. Let's see if we can get the shape off the end of this and use it as well. Oh no. There we go. Let's see, I think this should be... No, no. It got attached to the, to my plastic beneath it. Didn't mean to do that. Alright. Hmm. Sorry. Okay. It's not perfect. It never looks quite like fire, but it's close enough that I think we can get away with it typically. I just gotta figure out how to a good way to attach it to this. Although I think I want to do some more fire pieces. Sorry, this part of it's not terribly interesting to watch. It's just me doing the same thing over and over again. Scissors here. There you can kind of see the flaming coal. So the reason I did the coal, I don't know if I just said it, I think I said it in the last video. The reason I did the coal was that the chapter 10 description of these beings, Ezekiel is told to grab a flaming coal in from among the cherubim and the wheels specifically. So I thought this kind of was a way to portray that. Also, it mentions the soul of the creatures being inside the wheels. I don't know that they would be visible as coals. That may not be the intent, but it seemed like a good way to depict that. So right now I'm just attaching the fake fire and stuff that we did. I'm attaching it to the base here. And this is going to take a little bit because it has to be thoroughly cured. And then I'll pick up our finished figurine here in a little bit and show you what it looks like. Yeah, we're going to have to sit here for a minute or two while this cures. But yeah, we're pretty much done. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can do to add more details. But I think we are pretty much good on this one. And that's about right. Actually, it took me about 2 hours, so makes sense. Not quite cured yet. We still got a little bit longer. It's secured enough I don't have to hold it. Grab my other light, have lights from both sides. There we go, that's pretty solidly on there now. Alright, let me close up my stuff here. Move the pigments back, make room. Alright. So we have our finished figure. You can see the details on the heads, on the eyes, the wings that cover the body. The lion's head. The ox's head. You can see the wheel that we just did. With the flaming coal in the center of it. Oops. And then we can flip it around. You can see the eyes on the backs of the legs. But yeah, I think we are finished with this figurine. I will clean up the base a little bit so that I can do a better video for the final 1-minute edit version of this. But we are done with this sculpture. If you watched this video, I greatly appreciated it. I enjoyed getting to ramble about something I enjoy talking about, which is random, obscure biblical things. But I greatly appreciate any interactions I get. I know I still have a couple suggestions that I'm potentially going to work on soon. I know someone said I should do the tall bird from Don't Starve, so I might be doing that soon as well, because I do like them, and that might be something I can finish in 1 week because it's simple enough. But we will be doing a Halloween one soon, and potentially something in the middle. I have to check the dates, but yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you watched this far, I greatly do appreciate it, and feel free to leave me suggestions on things you'd like to see me sculpt if you have any ideas. I do take them as much as I can, or at least if I can't do them immediately, I'll add them to the list of things that I'm potentially going to do in the future. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful night, or morning if you were in a different time zone. So thank you so much.